Buffalo City's political theater just flipped script. Executive Mayor Princess Faku reinstated Graham Lottering to the mayoral committee after the ANC's provincial leadership reprimanded her for removing him. In days, a portfolio that looked sealed and reshuffled snapped back to the status quo, turning a local spat into a national lesson about where power really sits in South African politics, inside council chambers, yes, but also inside party structures. The subtext is messy and revealing about how the ANC governs in a coalition era and how a metro tries to deliver services while juggling party discipline and public accountability. Lottering's job matters more than the title suggests. As MMC for Sport and Community Development, he helps decide whether community facilities are funded, whether youth programs run, and whether sport and recreation remain photo ops or become part of safer streets and healthier communities. On paper, it is not a big money portfolio like infrastructure or finance, but it is one voters actually touch: stadium lights that switch on for weekend leagues, libraries and community halls that stay open, maintained, and outreach that keeps kids on fields rather than corners. Why was he fired, and why the rush to bring him back? The mayor's line was that Lottering interfered in administrative affairs within the directorate, a charge municipal law treats seriously because councillors set policy while officials execute. The ANC's provincial leadership read it differently, saying the dismissal breached organizational process and had to be reversed. That wedged the city between two imperatives: the legal clean line between politicians and administrators on one side, and party rules on how deployees are hired, moved or removed on the other. When those lines collide, politics usually wins, and it did here. The U-turn jarred because the mayor had already announced a replacement, veteran organizer Ninawa Newsell, billed as the experience needed to strengthen the Metro's sports development agenda. The post hung in limbo while the ANC and the mayor's office wrestled in public, and the reprimand produced a reinstatement. It fuels cynicism. Changes follow factional wins, not open evaluations. Zoom out, and the reinstatement sits inside a larger contest over leadership in Buffalo City. The mayor has been fending off revolt inside her caucus, including a no-confidence push and open dissent from councillors frustrated by service delivery and management. National and provincial leaders tried to calm the firefight, but even those interventions are read through the lens of who is protecting whom. When a party must referee its local war, every statement looks like taking sides and every procedural letter becomes ammunition. That is the climate in which this saga unfolded, one where governance and internal discipline are braided so tightly that residents struggle to tell them apart. For voters, the question is not whether Lottering is in or out, it is whether any of this translates into better run, safer, more vibrant communities. That depends on three practical things. First, a stable, law-bound relationship between councillors and officials. Politicians set priorities and budgets, professionals deliver without fear or favor. If interference did occur, fix it with training, clear delegations, and consequences. If it was a factional pretext, own it and correct it so the directorate can function. Second, transparent performance targets. Third, a budget that survives audit. In a cash-strapped municipal climate, the difference between a functioning city and a failing one is not press releases, it is whether invoices match work done, contracts are competitive, and the city maintains what it already owns. This is also a governance case study in the party versus state debate. The ANC argues that cadre discipline and internal processes are essential to coherent government. Without them, councils fragment and policies swing with every personality clash. Critics answer that party instructions to a municipality erode the constitutional principle that elected councils must exercise their powers independently, guided by law and community needs rather than by internal calculations. Both arguments appear here, a party trying to impose order and a mayor insisting on executive prerogative. The uncomfortable truth is that without strong institutions, both impulses degrade service delivery. A mayor who cannot lead is a risk, a party that can overrule due process is another. Residents pay either way. This story matters beyond East London. Coalition politics keeps executive authority contested, projects stall, and uncertainty lingers unless the city resets focus on outcomes. If you want accountability that lives in real life rather than slogans, take the exact reasons the mayor offered for removing loitering and measure the behaviors described. If the issue was crossing the line into administrative functions, the remedy is assigned public protocol and training for every MMC and head of department. If the issue was performance, the remedy is a published work plan with milestones, not a midnight reshuffle. If the issue was factional, the remedy is political, but delivery can still be insulated by ring-fencing project teams and procurement from caucus wars. Residents should demand a 90-day report back regardless of whose name is on the door. There is also a political cost curve the ANC must calculate. Reprimands and reversals can project control in the short term, but they also signal to voters that decisions are made elsewhere. That feeds the opposition's most effective line, "You didn't choose, you were overruled." The longer the party is seen as managing internal contradictions rather than the city's to-do list, the easier it is for rivals to convert frustration into votes. Conversely, if the reinstatement is followed by visible improvements, open facilities, funded clubs, safer parks, youth programs that keep young people busy and hopeful, the party can argue that decisive intervention produced results. The scoreboard will decide which message sticks. For loitering and the directorate he returns to, the path back runs through basics and transparency. Publish a simple plan residents can understand, show up at sites, put completion certificates in the public domain, keep contracts clean, collaborate with schools, NGOs and federations, track participation and employment numbers, and don't let politics steal the credit from communities doing the work on the ground. For Mayor Faku, the lesson is that authority exercised without airtight process invites a backlash you may not win. Build your cases, follow the law, and let performance, not personality, be the trigger for change. For the ANC, the lesson is that discipline without delivery will always look like interference. If you must intervene, make the outcome measurable in people's lives. In the end, a reinstatement is only a headline. What follows must be the hard, unglamorous work of governing, clear roles, clean tenders, honest numbers, and facilities that stay open and safe. Buffalo City residents have seen too many reshuffles dressed up as reform. They will judge this one by whether children find their fields lit on weeknights, whether community centers are open on weekends, whether maintenance teams pitch up when they're called, and whether the city's books survive scrutiny. If that happens, this loud political week will fade into a quieter story of delivery. If it doesn't, the next motion, the next reprimand, and the next reversal are already writing themselves.